I'm on a journey of self education, financial freedom, and I came across this interesting article. It's a Jewish principle that teaches your kids how to save. And initially, when I came across this article, I was blown away. I was so excited that I just had to learn the principles for myself and put that into action. And I took it one step further. I taught my kids these principles. I'll quickly go through this Jewish principle with you and we'll take it from there. If you are a Jew and your child can count, then that is when you would start to teach them these financial principles. So you would need 5 jars. In the first jar, the child is taught to keep 10% aside towards tithes. In the second jar, the child is taught to keep 10% aside towards community and development. And in the third jar, it's for investments. The fourth jar is an emergency fund, just in case your investments didn't work out. The fifth jar is the 40% that you would spend for your general expenses, for your clothing, and for your living. So they are taught that whenever you earn money, you only live on 50%. So these kids are taught at an early age to be able to save for long term, short term, and investments, community give backs as well. And I thought about this and I said, wow, this is so exciting. And I have to share this principle with my kids. So I sat my kids down and I showed them the different jars and I showed them, and we worked out a spreadsheet which I had printed. And I said, when you get your money, this is how we're going to do it. So the tithing I had no problem with. But guess what happened? I taught my kids these Jewish principles and they became loan sharks. And I was so horrified at what had turned out in front of me. It was a beautiful principle, but I just couldn't understand how I'd got this wrong. So I went quickly back into my research and I did more research to find out how did my kids turn out to be loan sharks. And this was what was happening. Daughter and son were lending each other money and they were charging over 200% interest in that. In fact, they were so good at what they did, they would put the current loan sharks to shame. And when I went back into my research to figure out what had gone wrong, I realized I actually didn't do anything wrong. I actually realized that when you don't have money, that is how you behave when you first get money. And dealing with money and learning self discipline and learning how to use it wisely is a lifelong journey. And the earlier you start with your kid, the better off it is. So, isn't it so beautiful when the scripture says, train up your child in the way he should go, and when he is older, you will not depart from it? And many of us, I don't know about you, but my first exposure to money, because I was very entrepreneurial at a very young age, was from about the age of 16, where I started my own drawing classes and I started hand painting banners. Um, but I was viciously loyal towards tithing. So what, and even when I did waitressing in the ICC, when I went on to study later, I would keep my tithing like 10%, and sometimes it wasn't even 10%, it was over and above the 10% that was expected of me because of my love towards God. The religious circle that I am from, um, for us to have a financial breakthrough, tithing and offering has always been stressed. You tithe and you give God generously, and then also you serve in the church, and God will see you and He will bless you. But I felt for all these years, there was just only part of the gospel. So if you look at Christianity, it actually stems from the Jewish culture, but a big part of that Jewish culture was left out in the teachings. And the teachings has to do with financial discipline. And when I look around me, I see so many people's lives in such array, in such debt. And I wonder to myself, I wonder if their parents had sat them down and taught them these principles at an early age. So Jim Rohn said, if I take every single person on earth and I give every single one of them R1,000,000. After a year, the money will still go back to the people that are holding the most money in the world. Because from the Jewish principle, you can understand money is not just about you getting and tithing and giving your offering. Money is such a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual discipline that if you learn it, if you harness it, and if you know how to use it well, you'll be able to multiply it, right? So the spiritual discipline in this is not just tithing and offering, but knowing how to hold money, knowing how to multiply money, and knowing how to give back, right? Not only to the churches, but to the communities in and around you as well, to people around you. So for me, that was such a beautiful lesson. Now, coming back to my kids and the way they've grown. So now we've opened bank accounts for them, and now we are teaching them about interest. And we've imported some products for them to get to kickstart their entrepreneurial spirit and their journey, and teaching them about trading, learning very quickly about losses, very quickly that somebody has to pay for the goods before you release it, or you're sitting in a loss, right? Because some of their friends have taken stuff and haven't paid for it, or borrowed money and have not returned it. So we're also teaching them all those beautiful principles that talks about money. So if you're watching this video, and maybe if you grow up in a home where money is not spoken about around the table, I would encourage you to go on your journey of self-education and go and Google and research stuff for yourself, find out what people have to say about money. And money is something so beautiful. It can be used in a beautiful way to extend yourself graciously in the world, to be God's heart and to be God's hands. So that's my story, and I'm going to wrap up today. But I do have an article I would like to share with you. So if you are following me on any of my social platforms, I've got this beautiful article. This guy did a stellar job of discussing the Jewish principles and the 5 jars. I would like to share that with you. So you can connect with me on my platforms, or you can just comment if the channel allows you to comment more info, and I will connect with you and send you a link. You will find it absolutely transformational. You will grow in leaps and bounds, and it will challenge you in the conversations that you have with your kids. Love making this content, and if you love listening to the content that I make sure you follow me and also give me some encouragement on the channels. It's quite daunting to sit in front of this camera making content. Thank you. Getting the most out of life's lessons.